Moving on to the next and the final classification, the modern periodic table. It was very, very similar to Mendeleev, but there was a twist in it. Mendeleev said the law states that the properties of the functions are periodic, the properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic mass. There came a scientist called Henry Moseley who told us atomic mass is not the fundamental property of elements. That means that is not the deciding factor. We have a more clear factor that will give us better differentiation, and he said instead of atomic masses, you take atomic number. The same law got converted to, the law states that the properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic number. Masses got converted to number. Mendeleev arranged in increasing order of atomic mass. Now Moseley said make it increasing order of atomic number. Don't care about the mass. So we started to arrange the table, and this is how the table looks. There are more things in the table down, but there's a bigger table. We will be referring to only the first 20 elements. So now when you see this table, observe hydrogens here, heliums there. The table got placed like this. We didn't know where to place hydrogen. You can see hydrogen is not attached over here. Later on we'll understand more in detail what is the property, why is this yellow, why is this green, why is that pink. We will do that a little later. Now we'll understand a few things about this. Same thing like Mendeleev, vertical columns are called groups. Vertical columns are called groups. Horizontal rows are called periods. Same thing holds good here also. There are different characteristics about this. We will study the characteristics of the modern periodic table next. Characteristics of the modern periodic table. First point, here it's given in very, very brief points. Please refer the notes for detailed points. 18 groups, 7 periods. What does that mean? There were 18 vertical columns called groups and 7 horizontal rows called periods. Next, same group, same valency. How? Let's observe. I have just taken a few elements of the table. We will see it in few elements and compare and understand. Hydrogen is 1, lithium is 3. 3 means 2, 1. Sodium means 2, 8, 1. Observe in the group, this is a group, valence electron, last electron. Same group, same valency. Last electron is 1, 1, 1. All of them share valency plus 1. Do you agree? Yes. Which is why same group, same valency. Next point. Same period, same number of shells. That means what? Same period. In this period, see here, lithium 2, 1, beryllium 2, 2, boron 2, 3. Observe, 2 shells, 2 shells, 2 shells. Sodium 2, 8, 1, magnesium 2, 8, 2, aluminium 2, 8, 3, 3 shells, 3 shells, 3 shells and so on. So if you travel along the period, the number of shells occupied are same. Here also 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4. Full row will have only 4 shells. So same period, same number of shells. Next point. Each period starts with a new shell. First one, 1 shell. Go to lithium, 2 shells now, 2, 1, K shell and L shell. Go to the next element, 2, 8, 1. So every time I am going to a new period, I am getting a new shell. There is an addition of a shell. Next, number of shells increases down the group. This is what we just observed. As you go down, if you are adding a new shell, obviously number of shells will increase. 1 shell, 2 shell, 3 shell, 4 shell, 5 shell. Next, number of elements in a period. So now, how do you know how many elements are there here? If I tell you, this is period 3. How many elements are there? How many elements are there in this period 3? That you will go by this number that you learnt, 2, 8, 8, 18, 18. It's that same concept. So I am talking about third period. So first, second, third, so 8. There will be 8 elements in the, then 8 elements in the third shell. How? Because what is that 8, 18, etc.? That is the maximum number of electrons that the shell can hold. It is the maximum number of electrons that that shell can hold, that period can hold. That particular, while filling, how many can you put over there? So, if I am saying there are only 2 shells here, second period has only 2 shells, capacity is only 2, there are only 2 shells to fill. So, how many can it fill? 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6, 2, 7, 2, 8. How many? 8 combinations. 8 combinations. So, 8 possibilities. Now, let us talk about the fourth shell. Fourth shell has 4 circles to fill. You have 4 blanks. First shell, 4 circles to fill. 2, 8, 18 already filled because it all belongs to third shell. When you go to the fourth shell, how many can fit here? It will start with 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 and go up to 18. So there are 18 such combinations. So what's the last point? Number of elements in a period is equal to the maximum number of electrons in the valence shell. What were the achievements that we see in this modern periodic table? In the case of Mendeleev's periodic table, we could not put elements with same atomic mass in the same slot. Why? Because the law clearly says in the order of increasing atomic mass. So if you're keeping chlorine here, chlorine has to be next. Cl35 is here, means Cl37 has to be next because the law says increasing atomic mass. But in this modern periodic law, it says atomic number. Cl35 and Cl37, both of them have the same atomic number. So they both will fit in the same slot. Problem solved, properties are also same. Therefore, he overcame this limitation from Mendeleev. So the first point, isotopes were placed in the same slot. One problem solved. Next, in Mendeleev we said that the order was not increasing. Sometimes we saw it was 50.9 and then it became 50.7. Order was not increasing. And also we saw that the order of the mass was not regular. From this it is becoming 3, then plus 1, then plus 2. It is not in order, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. Here both the problems solved. Increasing order was maintained. See, from 3 it's going to 4, plus 1. From 4 it's going to 5, plus 1. From 5 it's going to 6, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. Got added on and went. There was no problem at all. So increasing order was maintained. Now, elements in the same group, third point, elements in the same group had same or similar properties. Similar properties. Elements in the same group had similar properties. We saw in the previous cases there were few elements that didn't show similar properties, but still they were pushed into one group. So here elements clearly in the same group showed similar properties. Elements in different groups, this group 1 and group 2, different properties. Elements in different groups showed different properties. These are the achievements that we got from modern periodic table. So before we understand the limitations, first let's understand something about the periodic table. I have taken only a part of the periodic table. Please open your textbook and keep the periodic table page open with the colors so you understand what I'm trying to say here. Or you can even look at this and understand, but I don't have the whole table. I have left out some rows and I have put the lanthanoid and actinoid. You can see in the textbook there's a separate table at the bottom. I put it in white over here. Okay. So now in the textbook you can see there are few elements that are green. Whatever is green outlined here, these are all metals. These are all metals. These are non-metals, yellow. All of these are non-metals along with the hydrogen. Hydrogen also non-metal. It should actually be placed there because of similar properties, but it's placed this side. Therefore, this is one of the limitations. Hydrogen position is still not fixed. We told that all the group elements have same properties. Hydrogen, then why did we place hydrogen here? If it is a non-metal, why did we place it with metals? Because the valency of hydrogen or the atomic number of hydrogen is 1. The valence electron is 1. All these elements have one valence electron. We already saw this is 1, 2, 1, 2, 8, 1. So hydrogen position was not justified correctly. Next, what we need to understand here is we have something called as block elements. Again, you will understand this in the higher classes. For now, you just need to know the blocks. These full first two groups, these full first two columns or groups is known as S block elements. Starting from 3 and we're going till here, this 3 to 12, see this is called D block elements. 12 to 18 remaining, other than 12, 13 to 18 actually, P block. I repeat, 1 to S block, 3 to 12 D block, 13 to 18 P block. But exception, helium, it's coming under P, but actually in reality it is an S block element. Second limitation, helium is an S block element, but it is placed with P block elements. Third point, we have a separate block at the bottom of the table, the F block elements. These lanthanoids and actinoids called F block. You can see it is not attached to the table. We don't take them as similar groups at all. It is completely kept separate. So lanthanoids and actinoids or the F block elements are separately placed in the periodic table, which is the point number 3 that is known as a limitation. Now, as you can see here, I told you all the green are metals, yellow non-metals, this is also non-metal. You can see there are few pink elements here. These pink elements are called metalloids. The pink elements are called metalloids. What are metalloids? Metalloids are those elements that shows properties of metals as well as non-metals. So metalloids are those elements that show properties of metals as well as non-metals. Few examples of metalloids: silicon, germanium, boron, arsenic. You can remember 3, B, Si and G is enough. Those are examples of metalloids. So summarizing the limitations, hydrogen position was not justified. Helium is actually an S block element, but it is placed with P block. Lanthanoids and actinoids are placed in a separate block and not attached to the periodic table. These were the 3 limitations. Then we realized that we have metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metalloids are elements that show behavior of both metals as well as non-metals. The next thing that we're going to study is, we've already learned these points, but we're just going to see how to apply it here. If the electronic configuration is given, can you decide what's the group number and period number? Let's see an example. There is an element who has configuration 2, 8, 1. What is the group number and what is the period number? The last number 1 is the valence electron. That is itself your group number. 2, 8, 1 will belong to group 1. The number of shells, we learnt it already in characteristic. The number of shells is nothing but the period number. So 3 shells, 1 period, 2 period, 3 period. It belongs to period 3. Group 1, period 3, element is sodium. You don't have to know all the elements, you need to know only up to 20, you can get it. So you learned how to find group number and period number. Let's take a little more advanced example. 2, 8, 4. 2, 8, 4, whenever you look at 4, the first thing that will come to your mind is 4 electrons, group number 4. Wrong. We need to note over here, for the 20 elements that we are learning, we have to note, please note, if you have 1 valence electrons, write down here, valence electron group number. Check the valence electron and decide the group number. Please listen. 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, 4, 2, 8, when you see this valence electron group number, if you have one valence electron, that is the last shell has one electron, group number 1. 2, group number 2. But if you have 3, it is not group number 3, it's group number 13. 4, group number 14, and so on up to 8 electrons, group number 18. Exception for this rule is helium. Why? Helium has only 2 electrons, but it is placed at group 18. Why? Because it is completely filled. Now, why do we apply this law? What is this? It is not a law, it is not a rule. This is just a shortcut technique for you to understand which group it belongs to. It is not, you cannot generalize this. This is it only holds good for the first 20 elements. Since you have only 20 elements in the syllabus, for now you can learn this as a shortcut technique. So when you see 2, 8, 4, you should not say it's group number 4. Why does that happen? After lithium, beryllium, boron should come and sit here. Is it sitting? No, you are skipping 3 to 12 and going to 13. From 2 you are directly jumping to 13, which is why here also we are jumping to 13. Only first 20 elements, you can use this for your syllabus, this is enough. So 2, 8, 4. 4 means what? Group 14. How many shells are there? 1 shell, 2 shell, 3 shells. Period 3. Check it out. Period 3, 1, 2, 3, keep going. Group 14, element is silicon. 14 are there, see 2, 8, 4, 14, 14 electrons, silicon. Properties of metals. Now, we are going to study properties of metals and non-metals. Metals, we already saw the periodic table and you saw all the green part. Whoever were metals had either 1 electron, 2 electron or 3 electrons in their valence shell. So metals have 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons. All metals are solid except mercury. Mercury is the only metal that is liquid. Metals are electropositive. That means if sodium 281, if it wants to become stable, inert, what it does? It gives away 1 electron. If it gives away 1 electron, it becomes Na plus with 2,8. See, stable and it has Na+. So it became electropositive, positive charge. How? It is giving up electrons. So it gives up electrons. Anything that gives up electrons is known as electropositive. All metal oxides show basic oxide behavior. They behave like a basic oxide. Example, Na2O, MgO, CuO, etc., etc. But there are 2 oxides that behave like amphoteric oxides. What are amphoteric oxides? Amphoteric oxides are those oxides that show both acidic as well as basic behavior. Amphoteric oxides are those oxides that show both acidic as well as basic behavior. The 2 examples of amphoteric oxides are aluminium oxide and zinc oxide. Aluminium oxide and zinc oxide. All metals form ionic bonds. Why not covalent bond? What are these bonds? You will understand in carbon and its compounds chapter. Next, how do metals behave along the group and period of a periodic table? You will learn after some time when we decide the trends in a periodic table. So we will learn those 2 features there, make it a point to understand it over there and come back and fill it up over here. Properties of non-metals. They have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 valence electrons except helium. Look at your table. All the elements that were placed here were non-metals. They had either 4, 5, 6, 4 carbon, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 8, 5. For example, 15. Which element is that? Phosphorus, non-metal. So all those elements that have valence electron 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 were all non-metals. 8 refers to noble gases. They all are non-metals, argon, neon, etc. But helium is also a noble gas, but its valence electron is 2. Therefore, it's saying except helium. meaning all nonmetals have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exception for this rule was helium. Helium has only 2 electrons in its shell, in its valence shell, and it is still a nonmetal. Nonmetals exist in solid, liquid or gaseous state. All 3 states they exist. Some are solids, some are liquids, some are gases. They are electronegative in nature. That means they take electrons to become stable. Let's look at an example. Oxygen 2,6 is the electronic configuration. It needs 2 electrons to become stable. So it takes 2 electrons and becomes O2 minus. So 2, it's added 2 electrons. So now there are 8 electrons in the shell. So this O2 minus is now stable. It became negative charge, electronegative. Therefore, electronegative meaning easily gains electrons. They're gaining electrons. Non-metallic oxides in general are acidic oxides. These are some of the examples. Nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur trioxide, sulfur dioxide. But we also have some non-metal oxides that behave like neutral oxides. What are neutral oxides? Neutral oxides are those oxides that don't show acidic nor basic behavior. Please don't get confused with amphoteric oxides. Amphoteric oxides show both acidic as well as basic. Neutral oxides don't show either. Doesn't show acidic also, doesn't show basic also. Example, nitrogen monoxide and carbon monoxide. They non-metals show ionic bond nature as well as covalent bond nature. Like I said in the previous section, you will be studying this in carbon and its compounds. To understand how nonmetals behave along the group and period of a periodic table, we will be doing it in the next coming up section. Please understand there and come back and fill it up over here.